this node, it's connecting via VSO3. So one of the things I can demonstrate, and we will do a live migration as well, but let's just say the storage. So this is using this guy. I'm just going to move the disk to VSO4 instead. While it's doing that, this guy is still fine. You can send it commands. Start logging on. There's no actual interruption, and it moved it while I was doing that, all those actions. So that disk actually moved effectively the coordinator from one disk to the other, and there was no problems. So let's actually try live migration. So I jump over to the virtual machine. Oh, no, actually, let's start up the other one as well. So we can actually see that we can have this one LUN, and it's going to be accessed by multiple Hyper-V servers through that one volume and one virtual machine running on each of the boxes. So again, this is my other virtual server, VSO4, and right now I have nothing running on this guy at all. So now test VM2 should be coming up. And you can see that guy starting. And once again, we're going to have some additional information now, parts of the memory, information it can use to actually dump out the memory and supporting process information. So while that's going on, let's move this guy. So literally all I do in the failover cluster, for this test virtual machine, I'm just going to live migrate this virtual machine to VSO4. So we're just going to see it's migrating. So, and if we jump over to this guy, you can see it's provisioned, starts to provision the box. I'm going to jump around a little bit. You can see it's copying the memory. So this migrating is it's dumping the memory over, it's getting it ready, and then once it's finished dumping all the memory over, it does delta checks and says, okay, well, what's changed since I was doing the copy? And it basically just will flip it over when enough has been moved. So it's now running. The flip is complete. This guy should have disconnected because it's no longer there. If I fire up this guy, now on the other node, it's exactly the state. So there was no downtime. That's a live migration. It's actually was accessible the entire time. But so test VM is actually accessing cluster storage here. So it's accessing that VHD file on node VSO4. The other machine, test VM2, is accessing exactly the same LUN, that same volume. It's accessing test VM2. So as you can see, we've got multiple nodes accessing one LUN, one block of disk space concurrently at the same time. And that's basically how live migration, that is the secret sauce of live migration, these cluster shared volumes. And that's the entire configuration. I need no special hardware. I need nothing beyond what I had before. It's all done via the mini filter driver we saw and the code changes made in R2. So that's live migration. So actually one other test just to sort of prove that it's available the entire time during live migration, just in case you don't trust the British people. So, which you should do. So this is the IP address of this test VM. I actually migrated it back to VSO3. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to set up a ping. So the IP address is 60. So let's just chugging along. So this is this guy, 60. While that ping is happening, so I'm just going to disconnect that. I'm going to actually say this virtual machine, live migrate it to the other node. So again, meanwhile, best way to see it. Ping is still moving. Migration is still happening over here. I'm still pinging that box the entire time. Migrating started running. There was a slight mini gap. So that's that final delta. So it did actually give us one skip of a beat. Sometimes you'll see that, sometimes you won't. So it's literally, I'm pinging it every second. That times that it does, as I showed on the whiteboard, there is that slight pause where it does the final delta copy of the memory. That's what was picked up in that ping. As you can see, that was a second. So it actually started to slow down a little bit there. So that's what we get. That's okay. Normally, unless you're sitting there pinging the box, you're not going to notice that. It will just be a slight delay on any client access. Nothing's lost as such. TCP, etc. would queue up and resend any packets. But that just showed it was basically available, except for that split second time. So hopefully that doesn't count that I'm a liar. It is available that entire time the virtual machine is migrated.